The weight of silence. Natalie Brooks stared at her computer screen until the numbers blurred into meaningless patterns. The clock in the corner read 7:45 p.m., and the office of Hartford Industries had been empty for hours. Only the hum of the air conditioning and the distant rumble of the cleaning crew kept her company. She rubbed her tired eyes and leaned back in her chair, letting out a long sigh that echoed in the quiet space. This was becoming a habit. Staying late, burying herself in work, anything to avoid confronting the truth that had been eating at her for the past 8 months. The truth that every time James Hartford walked past her desk, her heart did this ridiculous little flip. The truth that she had fallen completely and hopelessly in love with her boss. Natalie had always prided herself on being practical. She graduated top of her class, landed this dream job at one of the most innovative marketing firms in Chicago, and built a reputation as someone who got results. She had rules. Rule number 1 was never mix business with pleasure. Rule number 2 was definitely never fall for your boss. And rule number 3, if you somehow managed to break the first 2 rules, you kept your mouth shut and dealt with it like a professional. She had been doing just fine with rule number 3, until tonight her phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. "Wine emergency at my place. You looked miserable at lunch. Get over here." Natalie smiled despite herself. Rebecca Walsh had been her best friend since their college roommate days, and she had an uncanny ability to sense when Natalie was drowning in her own thoughts. Maybe talking about it would help. Maybe saying the words out loud to someone who would not judge, or would make the weight in her chest a little lighter. The unraveling an hour later. Natalie sat cross-legged on Rebecca's overstuffed couch, a generous glass of Pinot Noir in her hand. Rebecca had one of those apartments that felt like a warm hug. Mismatched furniture, plants everywhere, string lights casting a soft glow across exposed brick walls. It was the kind of place where secrets felt safe. "Case Bill," Rebecca said, curling up in the armchair across from her. "You've been walking around like a sad puppy for weeks. What is going on?" Natalie took a long sip of wine, then another. The warmth spread through her chest, loosening the tight knot of anxiety she had been carrying. "It is James," she finally said. "Your boss, James? The incredibly attractive, built his company from nothing. Looks like he stepped out of a magazine, James. That would be the one." Natalie groaned and covered her face with her hands. "Rebecca, I am in so much trouble. I cannot stop thinking about him. Every morning I walk into that office and I have to pretend like my heart is not racing. Every time he smiles at me, or remembers how I take my coffee, or asks my opinion in a meeting, I feel like I am going to combust." Rebecca leaned forward, eyes sparkling with interest. "How long has this been going on?" "Months. Maybe since I started, if I am being honest. But it got really bad about 8 months ago. We were working late on the Anderson campaign, ordered pizza, and just talked for hours. Not about work, about real things. His childhood in Boston, my family, our dreams. He told me about how he almost gave up on the company in the first year. I told him about my dad and how he always believed I could do anything." Natalie's voice softened. "He listened to me, really listened. And when I left that night, I knew I was done for." "Does he feel the same way?" "How would I know? He is professional to a fault. Friendly, supportive, but nothing that crosses any lines. For all I know, he sees me as just another employee. A good one, maybe, but just an employee." Natalie drained her glass and reached for the bottle. "This is why I have rules, Rebecca. This is exactly the kind of mess I was trying to avoid." Rebecca studied her friend with a thoughtful expression. "You know what I think? I think you need to tell him." "Absolutely not. Are you insane? I would be humiliated. Worse, I would lose my job. Or it would become so awkward I would have to quit. Either way, my career is over." "Or," Rebecca said slowly, "he tells you he feels the same way, and you both stop torturing yourselves." Natalie laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That only happens in movies. Now make a movie moment. Call him right now. Tell him how you feel right now." "Rebecca, it is almost midnight. I am 3 glasses of wine deep. That is possibly the worst idea you have ever had." But even as she said it, Natalie felt something shift inside her. Maybe it was the wine, Or maybe it was 8 months of bottled-up feelings finally demanding to be heard. She pulled out her phone and stared at James's contact information. Her thumb hovered over the call button. "Do it," Rebecca urged. What is the worst that could happen? The Cal natally pressed call before she could change her mind. Her heart hammered as the phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Then his voicemail picked up. "You have reached James Hartford. I cannot take your call right now, but please leave a message and I will get back to you as soon as possible." The beep sounded, sharp and final. Natalie opened her mouth to hang up, to pretend this never happened. But the wine had loosened something deep inside her, and suddenly words were pouring out. "James, hi. It is Natalie. Natalie Brooks. Obviously you know that. We work together." That was dumb to say. She laughed nervously. "I am at Rebecca's place, and I have had some wine. Maybe too much wine. And she thinks I should tell you something. Something I have been trying not to say for a really long time." She took a shaky breath. Rebecca was watching with wide eyes, half encouraging, half horrified. "I think about you all the time. Not just at work, everywhere. When I wake up, when I am trying to fall asleep, when I am supposed to be focusing on spreadsheets, I think about the way you smile when something genuinely surprises you. I think about how you remembered my birthday without anyone reminding you. I think about how you always make sure I have eaten when we are working late. I think about what it would be like to be the person you come home to. The person who gets to know all the parts of you that you do not show at the office." Her voice cracked. "I know this is completely inappropriate. I know I am probably ruining everything right now. But I am tired of pretending. I am tired of acting like you are just my boss when you are so much more than that to me. I am falling in love with you, James. Actually, I think I already have. And I am sorry if that makes things weird, but I needed you to know." Natalie ended the call and stared at the phone in her hand like it was a live grenade. The silence in Rebecca's apartment was deafening. "Oh my God," Natalie whispered. "What did I just do?" The wine fog lifted instantly, replaced by cold, creeping horror. She had just left a rambling, emotional confession on her boss's voicemail. Her professional, composed, always appropriate boss. The man who signed her paychecks and wrote her performance reviews. "Rebecca, I need to delete that message. Can you delete voicemails? There has to be a way to get it back." But even as panic clawed at her throat, she knew it was too late. The message was out there. By tomorrow morning, James would listen to it, and her carefully constructed, professional life would come crashing down around her. Natalie spent the rest of the night alternating between panic and desperate attempts to figure out how to undo what she had done. But there was no undo button for the truth. She had finally said what her heart had been screaming for months, and now she would have to face the consequences. The morning after, Natalie woke up with a pounding headache and a sense of dread so heavy it felt like a physical weight on her chest. Sunlight streamed through her bedroom window, too bright, too cheerful for the disaster that was her life. She grabbed her phone from the nightstand and checked for messages. Nothing from James. That somehow made it worse. She dragged herself out of bed and stood in front of her closet for 20 minutes, unable to decide what to wear. What did you wear to your own professional funeral? Finally, she settled on a navy blue blazer and black pants. Armor. She needed all the armor she could get. The drive to Hartford Industries felt like a death march. Every red light was a temporary reprieve. Every green light a step closer to humiliation. Natalie gripped the steering wheel and tried to breathe through the anxiety. Maybe James had not listened to the voicemail yet. Maybe he would delete it without listening. Maybe a meteor would strike the building before she had to face him. When she walked into the office at 8:30 a.m., everything looked exactly the same. The receptionist smiled and waved. The coffee machine gurgled in the break room. People sat at their desks, typing away. Completely unaware that Natalie's world was ending, she made it to her desk without seeing James. Small mercies. She powered up her computer and tried to focus on the quarterly report that was due Friday. The numbers swam in front of her eyes. She read the same paragraph 4 times, without comprehending a single word. Her desk phone rang and she nearly jumped out of her skin. The caller ID showed it was Lauren Mitchell, the VP of Operations and James's business partner. Natalie's stomach dropped. "Natalie, good morning." Lauren's voice was warm but professional. "Do you have your calendar open?" "Yes," Natalie managed. "Great. I am sending you an invite for the company's celebration tonight. 6 p.m. on the rooftop terrace. It is our annual appreciation party for hitting our quarterly goals. James wanted to make sure everyone could attend."
The party.
Natalie had completely forgotten about it. The thought of spending an evening at a social event with James, pretending everything was normal, made her want to crawl under her desk and hide. "I will be there," she said, because what else could she say? "Wonderful. See you tonight." Natalie hung up and put her head in her hands. The day stretched before her like a prison sentence. She threw herself into work, anything to keep her mind occupied. She avoided the break room, ate lunch at her desk, and took the stairs instead of the elevator to minimize the chances of running into James. By 5:30 p.m., she had almost convinced herself she could get through this. She would go to the party, stay for exactly 30 minutes, congratulate the team, and then disappear. Simple, professional, painless. The gathering storm, the rooftop terrace had been transformed into a glittering celebration space. String lights crisscrossed overhead, casting a warm glow over clusters of employees laughing and talking. A bar was set up in one corner, and tables laden with appetizers lined the perimeter. The Chicago skyline stretched out beyond the glass railings. The city lights beginning to twinkle in the dusky evening, Natalie accepted a glass of white wine from the bartender, immediately found a spot near the edge of the crowd. She smiled and nodded at colleagues who passed by. But her eyes kept scanning the space for James. She spotted him near the center, talking with a group of senior managers. He looked relaxed in a charcoal gray suit, laughing at something someone said. Like he did not have a care in the world. Like he had not received a life-altering voicemail from his employee last night. Maybe he really had not listened to it yet. Hope flickered in her chest. Todd Graham from accounting materialized at her elbow. "Natalie, great party, right? The shrimp skewers are incredible." "Yeah, really nice," she said absently. Still watching James, Todd launched into a story about some mix-up with expense reports, and Natalie nodded along without really hearing him. Her entire focus was on James, trying to read his body language, trying to figure out if he knew, if he had heard. If her life was about to implode, then James moved away from his group and walked toward the small stage that had been set up near the bar. Lauren joined him, holding a microphone. The music dimmed and conversations died down as people turned their attention to the front. "Good evening, everyone," Lauren said, her voice carrying across the terrace. "Thank you all for being here tonight. We wanted to take a moment to celebrate an incredible quarter. Thanks to your hard work and dedication, we exceeded our goals by 15%. Applause rippled through the crowd. Natalie clapped mechanically, her eyes fixed on James. "I am going to turn this over to James, who has a few words to share," Lauren said. Handing him the microphone, James took it with an easy smile. "Thank you all for being here. I know we say this every quarter, but I genuinely mean it. This company is nothing without the talented people in this room. You bring creativity, passion, and excellence to everything you do." He paused, and something in his expression shifted. Natalie felt her stomach tighten. "Before we continue the celebration, there is something I want to share. Last night I received a voicemail that honestly caught me completely off guard. It was brave, heartfelt, and probably one of the most honest things anyone has ever said to me." No, 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 no. The blood drained from Natalie's face. This could not be happening. He would not do this. He could not do this. The message was from Natalie Brooks, one of our finest marketing analysts. James continued, his eyes scanning the crowd until they found her, and I think it is worth sharing with all of you. Time stopped. The world tilted. Natalie felt every eye in the room turn toward her. Todd stepped back slightly, confused. Someone whispered her name. She wanted to run, to disappear, to wake up from this nightmare. But her legs would not move. She was frozen, trapped in the worst moment of her entire life. James pulled out his phone and tapped the screen. Natalie's own voice filled the air, slightly slurred from wine, painfully vulnerable. "It's James. Hi. It is Natalie." Natalie Brooks, obviously you know that. We work together. That was dumb to say. Nervous laughter from the crowd. Natalie felt tears prick her eyes. Her recorded voice continued, laying bare every feeling she had tried so hard to hide. The way she thought about him constantly. The way his smile affected her. The way she remembered small gestures. And then the final, devastating admission. I am falling in love with you, James. Actually, I think I already have. The recording ended. Silence blanketed the terrace. Natalie could not breathe. Could not think. Could not do anything except stand there and wish the ground would swallow her whole. Tears streamed down her face, and she did not even try to wipe them away. The truth. Revealed. James set his phone down and walked toward her. The crowd parted like water, creating a path between them. Natalie wanted to bolt, but her body refused to cooperate. She could only watch as he approached, his expression unreadable. He stopped directly in front of her, close enough that she could see the gray flecks in his blue eyes, close enough that everyone could hear when he spoke. That was the bravest thing anyone has ever done for me, James said quietly. Natalie, I owe you an apology. I should have said this months ago, maybe even a year ago, but I was too caught up in trying to be professional, trying to do the right thing, trying not to cross lines that I thought should not be crossed. He reached out and gently caught a tear on her cheek with his thumb. The gesture was so tender that Natalie felt her knees weaken. The truth is, you are the first person I think about when I wake up and the last person I think about before I fall asleep. When you walk into a meeting, the whole room gets brighter. When you smile at something on your computer screen, I find myself trying to figure out what made you happy. I memorized how you take your coffee because I love any excuse to do something nice for you. His voice grew stronger, more certain. I have spent the last year lying to myself, convincing myself that what I felt was just admiration for a talented colleague, but it is not. It is so much more than that. You challenge me. You inspire me. You make me want to be better. Not just as a boss or a businessman, but as a person. James took both her hands in his. I am in love with you, Natalie Brooks. I have been for longer than I care to admit, and I am done pretending otherwise. The terrace erupted. Some people cheered, others applauded, a few whistled. But Natalie barely heard them. All she could see was James, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. You played my voicemail in front of everyone, she whispered, half laughing, half crying. I thought you were going to humiliate me. I wanted everyone to know that you have nothing to be embarrassed about. What you did took courage. Real, genuine courage. And I wanted to show you that I am just as willing to put myself out there. No more hiding, no more pretending. I want everyone to know that Natalie Brooks, brilliant, beautiful, brave Natalie Brooks, somehow decided I was worth loving. And I am the luckiest man alive because of it. I cannot believe this is happening, Natalie said, her voice shaking. Believe it. James cupped her face in his hands. I am going to kiss you now, in front of all these people, and then we are going to figure out how to do this right, together. He leaned in and kissed her softly. The world fell away. There was no crowd, no office politics, no professional boundaries, just the two of them, finally honest, finally free. When they pulled apart, Lauren appeared beside them with a knowing smile. I hate to interrupt this very romantic moment, but we should probably talk about the HR implications. There are rules about supervisors dating direct reports. Already thought of that, James said, not taking his eyes off Natalie. Lauren has been wanting to steal you for her team anyway. If you are willing, we can arrange a transfer. You would report to her instead of me. No conflict of interest, no questions about favoritism. Your career stays intact and we get to be together. You plan this? Natalie asked, amazed. I had the whole day to think about it after I listened to your message this morning. Well, that and Lauren threatened to quit if I did not stop being an idiot and tell you how I feel. Lauren laughed. What I actually said was that life is too short to let corporate policies stand in the way of love. But sure, we can go with your version. Natalie looked between them, overwhelmed by the sudden shift from disaster to dream come true. Yes, I would love to join Lauren's team. I mean, if this is real, if this is actually happening, it is real, James promised. As real as it gets, the party resumed around them. But Natalie and James stayed locked in their own bubble. They talked for hours, surrounded by the celebration, but focused only on each other. Colleagues congratulated them, some with genuine warmth, others with curiosity. But Natalie found she did not care what anyone thought anymore. The secret was out, the truth was spoken, and somehow, impossibly, it had turned into the best night of her life. The morning light, Natalie woke up Saturday morning in her own bed, sunlight streaming through the windows, and for a moment she wondered if the entire previous evening had been an elaborate dream. Then her phone buzzed on the nightstand, and she saw a text from James. "Good morning. Coffee at Bennett's Cafe in an hour. We should talk about everything without an audience this time." She smiled and typed back, "I will be there." Bennett's Cafe was a small, independent coffee shop 3 blocks from her apartment. Natalie arrived 10 minutes early and snagged a corner table near the window. She ordered a latte and tried to calm the butterflies in her stomach. Last night had been overwhelming, wonderful, and completely surreal. But now, in the clear light of day, reality was setting in. They needed to figure out how this would actually work. James walked in exactly on time, dressed casually in jeans and a navy blue sweater. He looked different outside the office, more relaxed, more like the person she had glimpsed during their late-night work sessions. He spotted her immediately, and his face lit up with a smile that made her heart skip. "Hey," he said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Hey yourself." She felt suddenly shy, which was ridiculous given that he had declared his love for her in front of their entire company less than 24 hours ago. He reached across the table and took her hand. The simple gesture steadied her. "How are you feeling about everything?" "Honestly, like I am in some kind of alternate universe. A good one, but still. Yesterday morning I was convinced my career was over and I would have to move to another state to escape the embarrassment. Now I am having coffee with you, and you are holding my hand and everyone knows." "Having second thoughts?" James asked gently. "Oh, not at all. Just trying to catch up to this new reality." "Hey." She squeezed his hand. "What about you? Any regrets about the grand public declaration?" "None. Though Lauren did lecture me for an hour last night about consulting with her before making dramatic announcements. Apparently I gave her a heart attack when I pulled out my phone." He grinned. "Worth it, though." They ordered breakfast and spent the next hour talking through the practical details. The transfer to Lauren's team would be official by Monday. They would meet with HR together on Tuesday to make sure everything was documented properly. James wanted to be completely transparent about their relationship to avoid any appearance of impropriety. "I do not want anyone questioning your accomplishments," he said seriously. "You have earned every success on your own merit. This transfer protects that." "I appreciate it. Though I have to admit leaving your team feels strange. I have learned so much working directly with you. You will still learn plenty from Lauren. She is brilliant. In this way, I can actually take you on a proper date without worrying about crossing professional lines." Natalie raised an eyebrow. "Speaking of which, when exactly is this proper date happening?" "Tonight, if you are free. I was thinking dinner at Rossetti's, that Italian place on 5th Street. Unless you would prefer something else. Italian sounds perfect." Building something real, the next few weeks unfolded like a dream Natalie kept expecting to wake up from. The transfer to Lauren's team went smoothly. Her new colleagues welcomed her warmly, and Lauren turned out to be an exceptional mentor with a completely different management style from James, where James was strategic and big-picture focused. Lauren was detail-oriented and collaborative. Natalie found herself thriving in the new environment, taking on increasingly complex projects. The office gossip about her relationship with James died down faster than she expected. Once people saw that she was working harder than ever, and that James treated her exactly the same in professional settings, the novelty wore off. Besides, Todd from accounting started dating someone from the legal department, which provided fresh material for the rumor mill. Dating James was everything she had imagined and more. He took her to art galleries and indie concerts. They cooked dinner together at his apartment, laughing over failed attempts at complicated recipes. He introduced her to his favorite bookshop, a cluttered used store run by an elderly woman who remembered every customer. She brought him to her family's Sunday dinners, where her mother immediately adopted him, and her father grilled him about his business philosophy. "Your dad is intense," James said as they drove home after one particularly long family gathering. "I think he was testing me." "He definitely was, but he likes you." "Trust me, if he did not, you would know." "How can you tell?" "He invited you to his poker night next month." "That is the ultimate seal of approval." 3 months into their relationship, they were at James's apartment on a lazy Sunday morning. Natalie was curled up on his couch reading while James worked on a presentation at the dining table. Sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and music played softly in the background. It was peaceful, comfortable, exactly the kind of quiet domesticity she had always wanted but never thought she would find. "Can I ask you something?" James said, looking up from his laptop. "Of course," closed the computer and came to sit beside her on the couch. "Do you ever regret making that phone call? I mean, I know it worked out, but that took real courage. You risked everything." Natalie set down her book and thought about it. "No, I do not regret it." "Was I terrified?" "Absolutely." "Did I spend an entire day thinking my life was over?" "Yes, but Rebecca was right. Sometimes you have to take the risk." "If I had kept quiet, I would have spent years wondering what might have happened. This way I know. And what we have is worth every moment of panic." "I'm glad you called." "Even though I nearly had a heart attack when I heard that voicemail," pulled her close. "Best worst decision you ever made. The worst part was thinking you were going to humiliate me at that party. I probably should have given you some warning." Lauren said, "I have a flair for the dramatic, you think?" Natalie laughed. "You played my drunken love confession over loudspeakers. In my defense, I wanted to make sure you knew you had nothing to be ashamed of. I wanted everyone to see that what you did was brave, not embarrassing. And I wanted to prove I was just as willing to put my heart on the line. Mission accomplished. Though next time, maybe just send a text first." "Deal." He kissed the top of her head. "So, I have been thinking. My lease is up in 3 months." Natalie's heart skipped. "Oh, and you mentioned your apartment is getting cramped. We have been spending most of our time together anyway, either here or at your place. What would you think about finding somewhere new? Together?" She sat up to look at him properly. "You want to move in together?" "Only if you do. No pressure. I just figured, why waste time on separate places when we both know where this is going?" "Where is this going?" she asked softly. James met her eyes steadily. "Wherever you want it to. But for me, this is it. You are it. I am in this for the long haul, Natalie. So, if you are ready to take that step, I am more than ready." Natalie felt warmth bloom in her chest. 4 months ago, she had been convinced she would have to hide her feelings forever. Now she was talking about moving in with the man she loved, building a life together, planning a future. "Yes," she said. "Let us do it. Let us find a place together." His smile was radiant. Yeah, though I have conditions. The place needs good natural light for reading, and space for my ridiculous book collection." "Done. And I need a real office space since I work from home sometimes. A balcony. I have always wanted a balcony." "We will find the perfect place," James promised. "With light and books and a balcony and room for both of us to build the life we want.